And we are live. Let me turn this down some. Hold on. Hold on. Let's see. I guess this sounds good. Let me cut this up a little bit. I got some vibrational music playing in the background. It's an abundance frequency. Because we need some sort of help right now. Okay, we need some sort of spiritual awareness and abundance right now. As I can see in the title, the gray area of LGBT plus and blackness. This conversation I've kind of been having for like the past few days, not only just on YouTube but also on Instagram as well. And this is something that has kind of been very heavy on my mind recently. It all kind of stemmed from Lance Scurv's one of his recent videos entitled "The Effemination of the Black Man Continues," which therefore I gave my own commentary. But I was on the phone having a conversation with my student today. Like I'm still trying to get back to people in my life. You know, I've kind of been taking a few days to myself. Actually found out that retrograde was happening. I didn't know that. So usually during retrograde, you kind of want to take time to stay to yourself and be reflective. But we were on the phone having a conversation about the Landscape video because I shared it with him, and he shared his concerns, and we were having a conversation. I said, you know what, this would probably be good for a YouTube video. So I was like, did you want to jump on YouTube and just, I guess, kind of finish the conversation? He was like, yeah, so let's do it. So that's what we're here for. I'm actually waiting on him as well. But y'all, we have a lot of fucking work to do. We really, really, really do. It's crazy. I actually watched a video that Lance Scurv did with Conscious TV about 4 years ago yesterday, and I ended up sending that video to my student as well, kind of just to get his thoughts. And it's just crazy how 4 years later we're still having the same conversation that is not going anywhere. I mean, we're sitting here arguing with each other, we're going back and forth with each other, we're listening to respond as opposed to listening to understand. But at the same time, there has to be some clarity here. You know, us as Black people, we're emotional. LGBT plus, we're emotional, right? Emotion without intellect is very, very, very dangerous. It's like giving a 3-year-old toddler who's having a temper tantrum a loaded AK-47, a loaded AR-15, a M4, and just saying, go ahead and just do what the hell you want to do. Like, no, there has to be some clarity and some balance. And we're not really having balanced conversations, which is irritating. Because at the end of the day, Black people are dying. Heterosexual, homosexual, lesbian, bisexual, especially our trans sisters, our trans brothers. It's a lot of death, a lot of ignorance going on, and people fear what they do not understand, and then they end up hating what it is that they actually fear. So we have to deal with the fear. This is a lot of the conversations around LGBT and Blackness have been rooted in this fear narrative, this fear consciousness. And fear is the extreme opposite of love. It manifests too. And low key, it kind of manifests faster. And the reason why it's manifesting faster is because at large, there is a collective that is believing that. So if you're manifesting things in your own personal life, just imagine what you're manifesting on a conglomerate level. Like this, even though I don't subscribe to religion, but in the narrative of the Bible, there was a scripture that read, damn, what was it? Hold on. Something just popped up and threw me off. Damn, I hate when it happens. Well, anyway, it'll come back to me. Y'all know how we do over here on BubzDaGawd. Shit, leave, then come back, then leave, then come back. But our people perish by the lack of knowledge. By the lack of knowledge. And I think what's happening is that, especially for us as Black people, we're still dealing with our own trauma. We're still dealing with our own trauma of healing ourselves from what was done to us systematically for 400 to 500 plus years, because this is still happening. This is still going on. So we're still dealing with what I like to call, I learned from one of my African American studies class, the slave of, I mean, the ghost of the slave plantation is still heavily ingrained not only in our psyche but in our DNA, because imagine large groups of people coming together and being abused in that way for centuries. That's going to leave some psychological damaging and scarring that we have not dealt with yet. And I think what's happening now is that we're trying to find a level of ease. And I mean, rightfully so. Here in America, waking up every day black is a challenge. It's going to be a challenge, unfortunately, but it doesn't have to be that way. And it's going to be us looking inwardly within ourselves first before we can do anything outside of ourselves. If we can't even take care of the shit going on within our own communities, we are never, ever, 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 ever going to be able to have the sense of equality that we deserve. And really, it starts with us. We're waiting for other people outside of us. We're waiting for white superiority at large to give us what it is that we're owed. And I'm here to tell you that because of the ego of the privileged, that's most likely not going to happen. I mean, it'll literally have to take hell for them to do that. And they'll probably try to conquer that. You know what I'm saying? So we have to learn to find that love within ourselves first, above all things. And when you have the conversation about LGBT and blackness, there seems to be the majority trying to have a conversation for the minority. It's LGBT people. I mean, it's hetero. I see you, Aries. Give me 1 second. It's like I said, the majority. It's the black community at large. I ain't gonna say as a whole, because there are some black heterosexual people who are working and using their empathy to try to find the gray areas, because there is a gray area. It's just that we don't want to acknowledge the gray area, because if we acknowledge the gray area, it means what the hell have we been doing? And a lot of us have been trying to figure out what we need to do as a collective. Like, there is no monolith in reference to blackness. Not yet. We're trying to build that. Once again, we're still a people who is um, trying to find their way back to I ain't gonna say what they used to be, but find themselves in a more evolved state that the slave um dreams, the dreams of the slave, the hope and the dream of the slave has to be manifested. And I feel like that's what's happening. But in order to fully manifest it, we need to have these difficult conversations. And LGBT and blackness is a big conversation. Unfortunately, shouldn't have to be a big conversation. There are bigger issues that are actually destroying the black community and the black family, and then using the LGBT plus community as a scapegoat to kind of not do your responsibilities. That's going to have to stop. So with that being said, I would like to bring on um, my student. I am proud of him. I'm glad and happy of his achievements. He has grown mentally, emotionally, spiritually. He's starting to question things more. And also learning to discover his side of blackness as well, which I'm pretty sure he's going to share with us. Ladies and gentlemen, I ask that you please welcome Aries to the stream. What's going on, Aries?
Hey, can you hear me good?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me good?
Yes, sir.
Can you hear the music in the background at all?
Not really, but
Okay, I want
I could hear you.
or because I kind of want the music a little bit too, so it is. So yeah, me and Aries were having a conversation. We were talking about the Lance Scurv show. I sent him once again I sent him 3 videos. I sent him 2 videos in reference to Lance Scurv talking about homosexuality in the Black consciousness community, and I also sent him a video of Conscious TV going against this, I guess, Hebrew Israelite. I can't even talk. Hebrew Israelite. There we go. Hebrew Israelite Pan African individual by the name of Israel Dawa is something like that. And he was sharing with me his concerns. So Aries, would you like to share your thoughts on the Lance Scurv videos and what you feel like, what resonated with you listening to it?
Um, a lot of things really came up into my head. What I am gonna say is just that I was having a headache, basically just
Mm-hmm.
listening due to the fact that I personally believe that there wasn't enough care and attention going on,
Right.
because I feel like there's this behavior of like, well, I'm right and you're wrong type of
Mm,
situation, and that's what like so many people tend to mess up in terms of the LGBT community. Um, a lot of like heterosexual people have always had opinions about us that most of them tend to be false, and somehow they're able to manage to convert it into something that could also be turned into like a reality
mhm.
for the future generation of queer people, in my opinion.
Right. Okay. There was something that we talked about in reference to both Landscape videos. One 4 years ago, the Homos and Hotep video with Conscious TV, and then the one he did recently, again called "The Emasculation of the Black Man Continues," with Sister Liz, and they were talking about they are okay with LGBT plus people as long as it's in the confines of their own home. Like, do
Mm-hmm.
whatever you want to do, just do it in the house. And Lance even shared a story where he said, we in the neighborhood, we knew who the gay guy was. We knew who that person was. Like, he was always the quiet one. He was the one that really stayed to himself. But then he will always have this one male friend that he was always with, and he will always stay the night over his house on the weekends, and they'll be in the backyard barbecuing. So you kind of know who they were. But it seems
Mm-hmm.
like as long as they were quiet and wasn't really living their experience outside in the world, which they have a right to because they're here, they're also part of this experience. God saw fit for them to be here. So leave that in the background. And it's just so sad because it's like you're literally limiting people's experiences. And I feel that it's from a place of jealousy, because once again, how can these people who are already black and also part of the LGBT plus community, how can y'all stand in such a way in strength? And even though the world is against you, you have people telling you what's going to happen to you. You've seen videos online, on television, and news articles that shows what happens to individuals like us who stand in our truths and still do that anyway, especially in a world that oppresses them. I think it's like there's a jealousy there. And there's a question that I wanted to ask, and it has been asked plenty of times, but there's never really been any real answer. There's always been like this shield. There's always been like this excuse or way to divert from the conversation or the question. And that question is, what is it about LGBT plus that terrifies you? What is it about?
Right.
Because there's obviously fear there. Like I said earlier in the live stream, people fear what they do not understand, and then they end up
Mm-hmm.
hating what they fear. But here it is, you have LGBT people who have experiences, who have stories, and experiences are a part of fact. We can look at that
Mm-hmm.
with the civil rights movement. Like, we've heard stories when Martin Luther King, Rosa Parks, Malcolm X, Bayard Rustin, who was also LGBT, but also was an implementive factor in the March on Washington for Martin Luther King to give his iconic "I Have a Dream" speech. Like, these are individuals who really put in the work and who was really about it. So that was their experience. But white America wants to deny that experience, because if they accept that experience for fact, like it really is, then it's about the fact of, okay, now accountability has to come into play. And then now that same thing that started at the top with white superiority and supremacy systematically in a patriarchal world is starting to trickle down, and now it's trickled onto the black community, to where now the black community has their own, we have our own twisted version of that hierarchy in our own community, in which we sit here and demonize, denounce, negate, and
Mm-hmm.
denigrate people's experiences. How
Right.
do you feel about that, Aries?
Honestly, is I don't know, because for me, I feel like for me it will be a little bit more different due to the fact that I am Hispanic,
Mm-hmm.
and every time that we even earlier when we had these conversations, and I think I even spoke to you about it as well,
Mm-hmm.
where like I come from a place where like things tend to be different than they really are in the United States. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So For me, it will be mostly like well, I don't know. I mean, I can only speak about the Hispanic side of
Yeah,
things.
go ahead. Speak. It's still your
So
experience, but yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
yeah, so for me, growing up, a lot of us, tend to be told what to do and how to do things and what to say. You get what I'm saying, by our parents or even our grandparents, if that's possible.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't really have that much room to express ourselves.
Right.
And when you come to a country where, like, like this one, right, that has like so many issues as far as like discrimination against black people and then the LGBT people, you get to see things in a different light. At least that's how it happened to me, because back in my country, we were a lot of gay people were told how to live their lives,
Right.
basically.
Right.
A lot of gay people were told, if you're gay, this is what you need to do. If
Mm,
you're gay, this is what gay people are supposed to be doing.
right.
You get what I'm saying? And that's how, like, things will get divided. Even over the years, there has been a lot of violence against us. There has been a lot of mocking and bullying, and it tends to come from the people who actually um are having gay affairs and like are experiencing homosexuality for themselves. But it's just for me that I believe it's just that the fear
Mm-hmm.
of saying, hey, I slept with this person and yada yada, is what pushes everything apart, if that kind of makes sense.
So
Because
it's go ahead. Go ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
no, you could go ahead.
No, I was saying like so. Basically, what's happening is that the individuals who are so against it, and you say a lot of times they're really behind the scenes doing it, are individuals who are self-hating,
Yes.
who don't really understand themselves or taking the time to understand themselves because of guilt and shame. That's why it's done in the dark. Like that's where all the guilt and shame is, in the dark, because it's a place where you can hide. And it's going back to the whole like DL type of situation and doing things in the dark. Like there
Mm-hmm.
was in the previous video that Lance did called Home on Hoteps, there was an individual that called in and said, I do house music, so I go to a lot of gay clubs and everything, and I really don't have a problem with gay people like that. But the only issue that I have with them is um the whole DL thing. He was saying that, when um it's not cool and it's not right for these men to be on the low and fuck around with men. And then of course here comes the whole stereotype of HIV and AIDS,
Yeah.
because they're saying that's a gay thing. It's
Which is not.
gay men are at a higher risk, but factually speaking, black women are number one. Unfortunately, it's not a good thing. It's a what I'm saying. But I mean that's the facts. But he was
Yeah.
stating how it's not right for these individuals to go mess around with the same sex at night or in the dark or on their own personal time and then come back to their wives, which I do agree with too. It's like living your truth. But then the question then comes after that is, why do you think that has to happen anyway? Like, why do you think there is a DL community? And the reason why there's a DL community is because there's no place for LGBT people in the black community to really thrive and be themselves. That's the issue and that's the problem. If there was, there would be no need for no DL community
Yeah.
because there would be people walking in their truth. So you have a problem with people who are open. You have a problem issue with people who are in the closet. It makes it appear that you just don't want LGBT to be involved at all. And I'm sorry, but not sorry. I mean, this has been here since the beginning of time. Before this
Mm-hmm.
conversation, LGBT has been here. It's just that now we're living in the internet age where, in a technical way, technology is evolving so fast that our minds are still trying to keep up with those advances. That includes information too. What you didn't know back then when you were living in the 60s or 70s, it's not going to be the same thing in 2021. Things change, things grow, things evolve. There's new
Mm-hmm.
information, there's new things happening. There are people who were afraid to document these things or try to understand these things. Now they're being more open-minded and saying, you know what, let me at least see for myself. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But then a lot of times, or really I'll say a lot of times, because there are some individuals who end up finding out information about LGBT plus, and they end up getting shook about it, because it's like, now I've accepted that, but still I have to live that in a world, or in a society, I'll say, in a society that is not willing to understand me, but yet wants to be understood itself. It's a two-way street. Both people are going to have to be open here. Both people, both parties are going to have to be honest here, because what we're doing is we're having these same ass conversations over and over and over and over again, and nothing is changing. Meanwhile, what is changing is that, like I said, people are losing their lives. People are being murdered. People are being hunted. There are people who are committing suicide. So it's like, we need to really, really, really have these conversations. And we're living in an age now where there are LGBT people who are studying to showing the, to show themselves approved. LGBT plus people who are actually reading and actually educating themselves and learning to love themselves so they can go out. And then on top of that,
Yeah,
if
like
your
me.
ass ain't gay, why are you talking about gay shit? So if that's the case, then I guess a white person can read some books about blackness and then tell black people how to be black. But see, when you have that type of
Right.
conversation, black people get upset because, and here's the thing, and I've said it before in my previous videos, we're going to have to deal with our own personal trauma and hurt that has been done to us, because we don't own the patent on discrimination. We have been the most discriminated against consistently, but we don't own the patent. Or better yet, should I say, is that for a lot of us in the black community, oppression has become a part of our identity, to where we struggle with the idea of being free. I mean, even when the slaves were free, they didn't know what freedom was, because they never really experienced it, or they just lost sight and lost touch with that. And now what's happening is that you're having these things happen in the intersectionality of blackness that is
Mm-hmm.
trying to wake people up into love. Because what's happening is that there's no equality, unfortunately. People want superiority. Go ahead, Aries. I kind of talked for a long time. Go ahead.
No, 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 it's okay. No, but you're totally. I totally agree with that. I totally do agree with that. Because me, I don't know. This is a very like deep conversation, especially even for me. You get what I'm saying?
Mhm, mhm,
Because like I have mentioned before to you, even though that like you could see myself that I'm a black man, right?
mhm.
I am still not considered to be black, to the fact
Mm,
that I speak Spanish,
right.
to the fact that my hair texture might be a little bit more different than a typical African American person. You get what I'm saying?
Mhm,
And for the longest time, I have even told you this, but like I feel like black people won't go any further, in this country if
mhm.
they keep pushing their own community away.
Right. Well,
Eh,
go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I was gonna say something. Go ahead. Before you
No,
start talking.
no, 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 it's okay. No, but yeah, like I was saying, I was felt like that because just like you mentioned, like you mentioned, I was in high school not too like 2-3 years ago, and I
Uh-huh.
was learning about slavery and segregation and things of that nature, and it always bothered me that you know they don't seem to. 'Cause this is something that I have. I'm on my feelings right now. Sorry,
No, go
but
ahead.
if you know your history, if you are an African American person living in the United States of America, right? And you understand slavery, understand segregation, you understand discrimination.
Mhm.
w- Why is it that you have to repeat history to your against your own people?
Mm,
You get what I'm saying?
mhm.
Why do you have to do that? And that's a question that I want you to like think about when whoever is watching this.
Mhm. Mhm. Well,
Why?
go ahead. Go
What's
ahead.
what's what's like? What are you really getting from that? Because for me, to this day, I'm 21 years old. I have always wondered, and I keep thinking about what what is the gay agenda?
Mm,
What does that mean? For me, we don't have one. We don't. We're just normal people living our normal lives, doing money in our own businesses. Why is it so important for you to know who we're sleeping with? Why is it so important for you to know what we're doing? And going back to the whole topic about DL men, the reason of why we have DL men within the black community is because we're always telling our kids, you can be like this. Oh, this is for girls.
Hmm.
Girls do that. Girls do this. And everything that doesn't seem to be manly for us is bad. Everything. So when these kids grow up and they wanna and they're trying to explore themselves, because let's talk about it. Let's be honest with this. Kids, they already, once they come out the womb, they already know who they are going to be in life. They know what they want. But it's just parents who keep pushing this thing with like, oh, you have to be like this, you have to be like that. Why can't you be like your cousin? Why can't you be like this person? So damn, I forgot what I was gonna say. I was going so deep.
And that's told you that's how I be. Like I be flowing. I be like, damn, I'll see something and something just take me right out that flow. But it'll come back to you.
You will.
Um, well, I was writing down because one thing I'm starting to do now, um, is I'm starting to write down what key points that I hear people say so that I can always go back and address it. So I appreciate that. Now, when you was talking about, black people pushing their community, well, here's the thing about blackness too. Like we're
Mm-hmm.
still figuring out who we are. Like we don't have a definite identity or a monolith of what liberated blackness looks like, free blackness look like. We're still associated with slavery. We're still associated with the psychological, the emotional, the spiritual abuse that we've endured. So imagine being in a place where you know who you are and then being taken from that place, being
Mm-hmm.
beaten savagely to the point to where now they're doing some MK Ultra mind thing through pain and uh through fear and intimidation to kind of rewire your brain to believe this new identity. I mean, if you look at the slave plantations, there were literally like anywhere from maybe 10 to 15 slave overseers and being like 500 to 1,000 slaves, and there was no gates around it because psychologically that dysfunctional identity has been beaten into us and ingrained in us. So we still try to figure that out. So like when you have other examples of blackness coming in, I don't know if it's a fear thing because they don't know who we don't know who we are as a whole yet. We're
Mm-hmm.
still trying to figure out what blackness is. So when something else comes nearby, I don't know if black people want to do it by themselves to find their own strength. But here is my thing: you can't really do that if we're imploding from the inside out. That's going to be very difficult. And you have all these other things coming in to kind of make us look at ourselves. When you meet somebody, they are a mirror reflection of what's inside of you. It's up to you to see them. Um, Now, as far as you talking about the gay agenda,
Mm-hmm.
I think the issue with the agenda, them saying it's an agenda, first of all, is it agenda or is it just representation? Because once again, there are LGBT people, LGBT children like myself. I was once a child. Okay, we all adults were once children. Okay, I didn't grow up seeing anything as far as LGBT representation. I grew up watching heterosexual television shows, movies. It was all around me.
Mm-hmm.
But I wish I would have had some representation to be able to, in order to give me some strength to know that there's other people out there like me. Because what happens is that these gay children who know who they are, or just LGBT people in general, them not knowing or having a representation of themselves makes them feel like they're alone, and then that's when depression comes in, that's when suicidal ideation comes in, because it's like, what is my purpose on this planet? Who can I connect to when people are looking at me and considering me a sexual deviant?
Mm-hmm.
So it's very difficult to find that. But I'm glad for the little Nas X's. I'm glad for the Santanas. I'm glad for the gay representation that is happening out here, so that other LGBT children, youth, whatever, can have something to say. Oh my God, there is someone up there who looks like me. And if your child is straight, it's not going to resonate with them if they are not gay. Just like I watched a whole bunch of heterosexual stuff and it did not resonate with me.
And I feel
I'm
like
looking
that's
at the
what's.
nigga. So, and then also too with the gay agenda, it's this whole issue with black men and the issue with femininity.
Mm-hmm.
Regardless whether it's homosexual or not, there's a problem with femininity. Like there, black women have been abused and used by a lot of black insecure black men. Not saying all black men. I said some.
Mm-hmm.
There are some good black men out there, but there are at large, I can say feel safe to say that at large, a lot of black men who don't know how to appreciate a woman because first of all, he can't even be in touch with his feelings because being in touch with your feelings is some
It's
gay
weak.
shit. Is weak. So now
Mm-hmm.
you're trying to have a connection with someone who is considered emotional. So it's very difficult to do that. But then when you see like Lance Scurv said in the thing, well, if you're gonna do gay, put the black masculine gay men up there. Where's the masculine brothers at? The masculine brothers have their own representation. They
Oh yeah,
do.
they do. They
Like
already have.
me, I have more of a masculine appearance. Even though I say bitch and girl and all that shit, I have more of a masculine appearance and more of a masculine energy. I accept my feminine energy, but I have more masculine. I can go out into the world. I can go into the black barbershop and blend in. I'll just be one of the bros. But does a feminine gay man, a flamboyant gay man, have that same luxury? No. Or the same privilege? No. So it's good to have these representations on that. And then once again, if a nigga wearing a dress, you ain't got to wear the dress. I want you to understand that. Because if y'all so worried about this representation, you will see niggas riding around the hood right now wearing
Mm-hmm.
skirts and shooting. And let's just say, hypothetically speaking, that happens. Okay. Because we've seen the Boondocks and they did an episode on it. Like I told Aries on the phone, you have Prince. Prince was one of the most flamboyant men ever. Would come out with all thongs, ass cheeks out with his high heel stiletto shoes, and you got tough niggas crying whenever Purple Rain comes on. Oh, but he wasn't gay. But we're talking about an article of clothing now. So now you're saying that dress or just a fucking certain type of pattern automatically makes you gay. Here's the thing I want people to understand when it comes to sexuality, and then I'm gonna go ahead and let you talk, Aries. Here's the thing. What makes you gay at the root? Fuck the symptoms that you're trying to address, because that's the problem. You're addressing the symptoms and not the root. What makes you gay is the fact that you are simply physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually attracted to the same sex exclusively. Point blank, period. There are so many forms of expressions from that, from masculine to feminine to tall to short. There are all different expressions of that. What I'm gonna need for a lot of my heterosexual brothers to do is to know who they are, love themselves in the king inside, so that you can continue to live out the representation of blackness that you want. If you know who you are, it doesn't matter if a gay person around you, you know who you are. It's a lot of insecure ass niggas, and that's the fucking problem. You
Mm-hmm.
insecure ass niggas gonna have to get y'all shit together and stop bleeding your insecurities out on other people. Y'all will sit here and talk about women, but you'll fuck the shit out of them and not take care of responsibility. Or you'll sit here and talk about these gay niggas and then fuck the shit out of them because, like Aries said, I'm gonna let him talk. I know I said that, but afterwards, I swear after this, I'll let you talk. With sex, people were saying, oh, um, gays can't procreate. The, the purpose of sex is not just for procreation, because a lot of motherfuckers out there is just having sex for the enjoyment and the pleasure of it. If it was strictly for procreation, there would be a lot more fathers in the household. There will be a lot more united families as opposed to the brokenness that there is now. I mean, come on, y'all, make it make sense. Go ahead, Aries.
Yeah, I'm also gonna build up also like from the beginning and all the way
Mm-hmm,
up as well.
mm-hmm,
So I know that we were both born in different generations.
mm-hmm,
So for me personally, growing up, I did so characters on TV, on cartoons, right, that did resemble an idea of gay was basically.
mm, okay.
And it will always be these side characters that were like the fruity, girly type of man that
Mm-hmm,
will always get jealous for by the for the main character or like the female or whatever.
right.
So for many, and now that I think about it and everything that you're saying right now, for many of us, that was an idea of like, oh, that's something that I do not wanna be. You get what I'm saying? Because
Mhm.
even though that just these men were portrayed to be um strong as far as mentally, because they knew who they were, because they had these feminine attributes, they were seen less than.
Mhm.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So for me, like as far as cartoons, they were there, but they weren't really there. So I didn't really fully have like an experience of like knowing what being gay was, but I did know that like I like guys,
Right.
But when you're 4, 5, 3, you don't even know what gay is or what straight is. You just know that you like certain people, or like you find more people appealing than others.
Mhm.
That's all you really think about. So I also remember, like for me, like when as I was growing up, after my mom moved to the United States, like I had a little bit more harder, because people were telling me like how to do things, how
Mhm.
to live my life,
Mhm.
to the point that like I started believing that I didn't matter.
Because of the lack of representation you had, like the true clarity of it, like someone who truly understands, excuse me, someone who truly understands LGBT, understands queerness. So because you didn't have it, it kind of, you didn't have any other thing. And then on top of that, you have heterosexual people writing the narrative for you, telling you
Yeah,
who you should
because
be.
with
Mhm.
even like with shows like I grew up watching Disney Channel. Obviously it was not the um United States version of it, but I used to watch like one of my favorite Disney characters is Ariel. So like I used to like watch how she fell in love with the prince and stuff like that, or all of these Disney princesses, or even Simba and Lana like falling in love. All of this was cute, but it wasn't me. Like I didn't that didn't make me straight.
Right.
Even though that yes, I do like females as well as men, but that didn't make me fully straight.
Hmm.
That was just something that like I didn't understand. So as I'm growing older, and then my family keep putting more they were putting more pressure on me as far as my behavior
Hmm.
and how they really care about their looks, as far as like how they were gonna stand out
Hmm.
in
Right.
front of everybody, because
Right.
like I told you before, like my family is divided in two. So my mother's side is more like traditional and religious,
Hmm.
while my father's side of the family, they're more modern, and they're also like more like smart and intelligent and stuff like that.
Open minded.
So yeah, so like you
Hmm.
see how like think about you as a son, growing up in an environment like that, where like you get confused. So like, okay, so what is it that I'm supposed to be doing? How am I supposed to do this? How am I supposed to impress people? Because all I thought about was basically impressing my family. I didn't think about myself. You get what I'm saying?
Exactly. Exactly.
Because my family never showed me put yourself first. It was always put others before you. Think about what others are going to say. And
Hmm.
the fear of them look, and now that I think about it, I think that's what it is still to this day. Now, still to this day that I'm 21, the fear is that like they don't want to be looked down upon because they have a child who belongs in the LGBT community.
Right.
And I feel like that's the fear, because um if you even think about it, there's even some parents that like, I think on post on the last season of post, when we get to see like a lecture on her mom was like didn't accept it, mostly because her neighbors knew who she was and who her son was, right?
Hmm.
But also that would have given her a bad name, because she would have been known probably like the bad parent who didn't know how to raise a child. Or there's always this thing that like oh, well, you're gay, or you like men because you didn't have a daddy in your life and your mom
Wow.
didn't know how to raise you. So like, and
Hmm.
these are things
Hmm.
that I even heard myself. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And for me, like, in a way, I started to believe that, because when you don't have a parent to a father figure, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to depend upon your mother, who, like, who doesn't really know much about the whole thing about what it is to be a man, right? She
Mm-hmm.
has the mothers have an idea, but they cannot fully extend it as a parent, as a father can, if that kind of makes sense.
Right.
So for me, it was always kind of like, am I doing the right thing?
Mm, wow.
I'm not supposed to be here. God doesn't want me. God doesn't isn't gonna accept somebody like me. So I grew up with fear and fear and fear and fear and fear, because that was something that was taught to me from the beginning. If I was like this, or if I was different than what my family wanted me to be, then I was ungrateful, or I was the bad child. You get what I'm saying? Even like when me and my mom had arguments, she would ask herself, where did I go wrong with you?
Wow.
Just for the spot of my sexuality. And it will be insulting for me in a way, but then it will make me think, it will make me look at myself and be like, am I a bad son for being the way that I am?
Wow.
And yes, I dated females. Yes, I dated guys, but there's nothing wrong with being who you are. And I feel like that's
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like that's the whole key of this entire conversation. Because even though that, yes, we're having this conversation right now, there's still parents who don't have this type of conversation with their kids. Because I feel like and you were mentioning it earlier as well, like, what really is the fear? And after we
Yeah.
spoke earlier about it, and we're speaking about it right now, I feel the fear of the many black parents have is what their friends are going to think about them.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's
Yep.
because if you think
Yep.
about it, they're not doing it for the well-being of their child. They're doing it for how they're gonna look up, how they're gonna be portrayed as in society. That's why damn, I forgot the name of this man already. Boosie, little Bougie, whatever his name is.
Little
That's
Busty.
yeah. That's why when Saya, right, came out as transgender, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I'm not mistaken, I hope I'm not mistaken.
No, you're
But
right.
what? But
Yeah.
that's why when she did that, and her father decided to support her, he went off, because for him that is not how you're supposed to be raising a child. And one of the first things that I remember him saying was, "Oh, please don't cut your child's
Don't cut the dick off.
yeah." Like, and I'm like, what? You get what I'm saying?
Told you,
Because
Boosie gonna always talk about some dick.
yeah,
That's nothing new.
at this point he might just come out, but
Okay, at this
but
point.
but that's the reality of things. I feel like many black parents are afraid about how they gonna look upon the community. And that's why you have so many kids who commit suicide. That's why you have so
Mm-hmm.
many LGBT kids who tend to run away from home. Because they cannot be themselves.
Or kicked
Especially
out of their homes.
exactly. And I think about my generation. I'm in a place where, like, I have people who do um open yourself up for, like, I even had, like, on my birthday, right?
Mm-hmm.
I had this, like, one straight friend who came up to me. He was just like, Aris, like, I've been thinking about, trying it with a guy and stuff, but oh no, I am not gay. But it's just out of the curiosity. That's the thing that he wanted to do. Has he done it? I don't know, because I haven't spoken to him ever since.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a how can I put this? I feel like there's a difference there, because at least he has parents who have his mom told him, if you're gay, then I don't mind it. So he has never heard nothing negative about gay people as far as his parents. But and I feel like that's something that we need more of. And
Exactly.
I feel like that's why I approve of schools teaching us about gay history. and also about gay sex.
or make that a part of the curriculum. I think what a lot of people have the problem with is that, especially in Blackness, what I've heard, excuse me, that's why I've been muting my phone because my phone, my mic, because bitch, my throat itchy as hell. But in Blackness is they're afraid of this erasure. They're afraid that the there's this crazy ass twisted ass fantasy that keeps going around
Mm-hmm.
that because if LGBT is accepted, then the world population is going to completely go extinct. And it's like, what in the absolute fuck? Nobody is trying to destroy or remove heterosexuality. Heterosexuals will always be the majority. That's not going to change.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna always be the majority. Me be the majority. But my thing is, y'all are so definite or so caught up on periods as opposed to putting commas, which means
Mm-hmm.
because period means ending the sentence is that's what it is. Comma means there's a break and also includes something else. It means that the sentence is still continuing. So LGBT expression is nothing really but just a comma. It's just something else that's in a form of inclusion. And it's like, what's wrong with including other people and educating yourself? How you gonna sit up here and tell me about some shit about being gay, but then as a gay person, I tell you some shit because I know it as fact because it's my experience,
Mm-hmm.
then you can't accept that. You're gonna believe the false shit. So if we're going, and this is where a lot of black people will be mad at me, but goddamn it, this is where the fuck we gonna be mad at because this is where we gonna find a gray area. If you work through it, okay, through your ego, we will get there. Here is the thing: if that is the case, then like I said earlier, a white man can go ahead dedicate all his damn life to black studies. Does that make him a black person? Does that make him somebody that can fully speak about the black experience, even though he's talked to many other black friends of like his, even though he's read countless black books and even was so educated in blackness that he low key could get a goddamn a degree in African studies. He can do all of that, but he's missing one important element. He's not black. There's this book that I read, and I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna find that book, and I low key want to read it on here on YouTube, like
Mm-hmm.
through uploads or whatever. It's this book I read called "The Cross in the Closet" by Timothy Curry. It's about this white guy. It's a white, but it deals with homosexuality that is universal in reference to
Uh-huh.
love. It's about this individual who he was very he lived in the South, very Southern Bible Belt. He was all about Jesus and Lord and all that stuff. And homosexuality was one of the biggest no-nos. So on one of his college campuses, there was this LGBT Christian group out there, and I mean the Christian and it's on a Christian campus too. This is a Christian school. So
Mm-hmm.
you have LGBT Christians out there just sharing their experiences and letting people know that we do exist too and creating a place for people like them as well under the umbrella of Christ. So these individuals, of course, are going in throwing all these slurs, whoop, 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 whoop. And Timothy Currick walked up to him and called him the F word. And he said,
Ooh.
you know what? God loves you. And when he said that to him, that kind of had him perplexed because he was ready for just the same reaction of anger because, like, oh, see, I'm telling the truth. You're mad. You're upset. Playing on that. He said, you know what? God loves you. And then he ended up meeting this lady at a bar
Mm-hmm.
who is a lesbian. And he was kind of cool with her for a minute. It was a little
Yeah.
hard. Then she came to the bar one night and she cried and said that her family found out about her lesbian relationship and they kicked her out of the out of the house. And
Mm-hmm.
Timothy said, "You know what? I just felt it in my heart." And he did this experiment for one entire year. He lived as a gay person and documented the whole thing, him coming
Oh.
out to his family members, him coming out to his friends, and how they just turned their backs on them, but also understanding how LGBT people had this intense disapproval of religion because of how they've been hurt. So he was
Mm-hmm.
able to see both sides of the story, and that's the thing. We need both sides of the story. People walking in their truth, or the lack thereof, the fear, because even in fear, transformed by love will equal truth. So having these two people, these two sides, understanding both sides, and once again,
Mm-hmm.
like the title is, finding the gray area. This is one man who spent a whole year pretending. I ain't say pretending in the sense he did, but living or doing the experiment of trying to understand the walk of an LGBT person. That's what we're
Oh.
calling people to do. I ain't saying to come out and be gay. I ain't say that. But what I'm but or do the experiment. But what I'm saying is to use your empathy, your energy, which transfers lines of division to understand each other. Because at the end of the day, we are all in lines of division. In order for us to get to unity, humanity, which is the ultimate goal, we're going to have that conversation that's going to really bring forth clarity. And motherfuckers going to be mad, and that's okay. We're going to have to be mad and work through it because too much is at stake now, y'all. We've been having the same fucking conversation for decades now, and shit hasn't changed. Somebody got to come in here and say, what in the fuck is we doing? What in the fuck? What are we doing? We
Mm-hmm.
are, and we're always having conversations, but we're never having conversations about solutions on what to do. How do we figure out this gray area? What are we gonna do? Because let's be factual to my black brothers and sisters who are part of the heterosexual community. It ain't the gays out there shooting and killing and stabbing. It ain't the gays out there on the corner with iced out pink Glocks and shit, blasting Santana and selling dime bags. We not doing that. We not driving down the street, bitch, and we shooting and then twerking and then get back in the car. That's not happening. That's my heterosexual brothers doing that. So my thing is, we need to have these real ass conversations, not taking the view or the accountability and placing it on somebody else and saying, y'all the reason why. We are the minority. How the fuck is the minority going to have such a huge influence over the majority? Please make that make sense. This is nothing but representation. That is all that it is. Y'all gonna give yourself aneurysms. Y'all gonna give yourself heart attacks and strokes sitting here trying to have these fanciful ass type of arguments that make no sense. Gays ain't trying to sit up here and change your kid from straight to gay. What's happening is a representation for gay children because once again, I and Aris, we were young children. Even the adults were children at one time. And
Mm-hmm.
once again, like Aries said, he didn't grow up in my generation, but for me, I grew up watching nothing but heterosexual content around me and still was gay. Like, come on, y'all. Y'all gonna have to include other people. And see, they're afraid to have conversations with people like us
Yes.
because to them, we are an anomaly. They're gonna try to go down the track list. Well, you need to have this and have that. But what about this and what about that? And then no, none of that applies. Now what? Why can't you just accept that LGBT is a part of the human experience? It means also under the black experience. There are so many intersectionalities, and like I said, we as black people don't even know who the fuck we are as a conglomerate. There were times when we were getting there, but shit got in our way. But we're
Mm-hmm.
gonna have to have these conversations for real. So it's like I do what I can to try to educate other LGBT plus people as well about self-love and learn and exploration and all these things so that when the time comes to have these conversations with family members, with friends, with church members, with people out in the world, that you know who you are and it doesn't matter what anybody else's opinion about you is. We're talking about the facts and that your experience, your life, what you've been through, what happened to you, all is a part of fact and it has to be applied as well. I said a lot. Go ahead, Aries.
No, I totally agree. Actually, I was thinking, as you were talking, I was thinking a lot about my friend. A friend of mine actually, and also I was thinking about also something that you said earlier about Lil Nas X. I personally do believe that like I said earlier, I do strongly believe that the black community is not would never move forward if they don't accept everybody. You get what I'm saying? If they don't accept their own community in, because you know that's basically what these other people want. They want us to stay divided. They want us to not work together because we are stronger. We are very strong. We are intelligent. We are smart. There's been books I don't know if I told this before, or I don't know if you knew about this, but years ago,
Mm,
it probably not. I even myself, I jumped into a book like this, where like there's literally books that like that were written by white people saying how um Hispanics are dumb and are stupid.
wow.
Yeah. So for me it's kind of like them. Sorry, I'm just in my on my head right now.
You
But
good? You good?
it's just that like we're repeating, and that's what makes it so sad for me, because I think about this every single day. We are repeating history.
Yeah. History repeats
And I
itself.
know that like there's so many people that have told me multiple times, oh well, you don't know what it's like to be black in America. You don't know what it's like to be this, that, and the third, and yada and yada yada. Yes, I didn't grow up here, right? I didn't
Hmm.
grow up here, but I went through discrimination as well in my country.
Mm.
And I feel like that's as far as I could go when it comes to my blackness. Because I want to talk about the if I may.
Yeah, go ahead. Yes, of course.
Yeah,
Of course.
that's like that was the most that I basically got back at home. I was in there were some school years where I probably was the only dark skinned um guy in my class, kid in my class. There were some years where like I even have um lighter kids who were like, oh well, you're too ugly, you can't play with us, I don't like your hair, all of those comments. So yeah, people
Mm.
have already told me that.
Mm.
You get what I'm saying? And even to the point that even schools over there, I don't know, and I was just there like not too long ago, but I'm not sure if they still do this to black people in other countries like Latin America as well, where like they will literally we will need to cut our hair in order for us to attend school.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we
Hmm.
like and mind you, this is probably what's happening in here in the United States, maybe like in 1980 or like
No, it's happening
even
today
earlier than
still.
that.
It's happening
But
today
like
still.
yeah, but like in my country that was something that it is still happening.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
people like to say that like, oh yeah, this country's moving forward, but like once I moved here,
Right to hell, bitch. Moving forward, right to the gates.
moved here, everything was so different, because the idea that we all have over there back at home is,
Hmm.
oh, when you get to the United States, you're gonna meet a lot of white people. That's basically what we were taught.
Wow.
There's nothing but white people in the United States of America. Never seen an Asian person in my life before I came here. African, Jamaicans. I didn't even know what Dominicans were until
Wow.
until I moved to the United States. Never once I had a white person in a classroom when I came here. And then and that was something that really disconnected me with the black community here in the United States, because my history is way different than your history over here. And I feel like that is another thing. We need to have more conversations like this.
Yes.
Not
Yes.
not not just about about what it is to be queer in the United States, but also what it means to be black both in the United States and also around the world.
Or we could
You get
just
what I'm
deal, or we could just deal with the fact of just learning to treat people the way we want to be treated. Because
exactly.
it all deals with the sense of power. Go ahead.
Exactly.
Hmm.
For me, like I don't come from a slave ancestry actually,
Okay.
which is something that shocks a lot of people, because not many people in my country know that in Guatemala um there was black people were never slaves in the first place. So the people that were imported from Africa to the Americas, they were meant to be slaves. but a man that goes by the name of Marcos Sanchez Diaz,
Mm,
he was the one who decided to set us to set us free. Basically,
mm,
the people who were mostly slaves were the indigenous.
yeah.
Because to that point, I think for like a couple of years, a lot of Europeans didn't even know that they were black or African people living in Guatemala or in Central America in general.
Hmm.
It wasn't until later on that they found out about us. And
But see,
still, we didn't turn out to be slaves, and that is something that divides me from many people here because um coming here, you think that the country is gonna be more open and accepted, right? Especially for me, um it was weird for me to see so many black people everywhere. It was weird for me to see a lot of gay people living their lives nice and proudly, but you never think about that there's anything wrong with this country and that this country had a nasty history. You
whoa,
don't, as somebody that comes from Latin America, you don't think about it. You don't think about that.
mm-mm.
All you think about is that you're gonna have a better life, that you're gonna have a better opportunities in this country. That's it. And
The
that you I mean
American
a
dream.
bunch of white people.
Hmm.
That's all you think about. Because the black people that were going to my country, they were their parents, they were going to my country was because their parents were from my area, or they have family members who lived in Guatemala.
Hmm.
So those are those so black people outside of that Afro-Latino group, we never met.
And see, that's the thing now with the internet. I think that's why there's so much happening right now.
Hmm.
Why these conversations are starting to happen, like to the point to where it inspired both you and I to have this conversation right now. Like we we live in our own little bubble. Let's just admit that a lot of us live in our own little bubble in our own little world, doing our own little thing. But then what happens is that we be so contained in that bubble and find such security in that bubble that we don't want to learn anything else outside of that. And
Yep.
it's like, yes, in your home, you can do whatever you want to do. It's your humble abode. It's your safe space. It's your place. Whoop de whoop de woo. But you also have to understand that the world is not going to be like your house.
Yep.
Like you're dealing with other human beings who are having their other human experiences. And I mean, like I said, the internet has awakened people in such a way to where it's like, wait a minute, you're all the way over there on another continent and I can relate to you. I can relate to you. Like there were people over in China that were protesting for Black Lives Matter. Like there were people doing that. So my thing is like, that's why for me, I always teach and practice self love because before you can do anything outside of you effectively, before you can do anything outside of you genuinely, before you can manifest the realities that you desire for not just you, but for the collective, you have to end up doing that for yourself. And I mean, America, it's called the American dream. It's really a fucking American nightmare. You know what I'm saying? Like, it gets to a point to where it's like, how long are we going to really sit here and just allow this to happen? Because we're allowing it to happen to us. The real shit that's destroying us, we're not really paying attention to that. And like I said, for me, when it comes down to conversations of LGBT and blackness, I want to find the gray area. I understand what both sides have been. Well, to be honest, LGBT plus people are just now getting to the podium. We're now getting to the stand to say our side. That's why there's so
Hmm.
much opposition because the narrative has been written for us. And now we're taking the pen away and writing our own history as opposed to how you taught it. Because the way that you want our history to be is people who are these nasty, twisted, demented, deviant, pedophilic, even if that's the word, I don't even know, and disease infested sodomites That's what you want people to believe about us, which is like what Aries said earlier. When it comes down to LGBT and they're finding out their children or someone they know that's LGBT, it's not even about the person that's dealing with that, because they don't even understand that the person who's telling them that they're LGBT or coming out also is dealing with a lot of stress and fear themselves, because there's a possibility that that reaction that so many other LGBT people have experienced might happen to them. And because parents don't know how to love their children unconditionally, just like how you want God to love your ass after you done fucked this nigga and you said this was the last time, the 20th time ago, that same
Mm-hmm.
grace and mercy, you can't even give that same grace and mercy to your child who is being vulnerable, or the person that is being vulnerable and telling you who they are. And because you don't care about them, you care about your image. You care about what people are going to say
Exactly.
about you as a parent, that you failed somewhere, and then that affects your social status. You would do all of that
Mm-hmm.
instead of learning to stand by and love your child. That's why, like, when Dwayne Wade came out in support of Zaya, a lot of people were upset about it. How dare you? And then on top of that, they couldn't escape that because he was a part of the NBA. That's a very masculine
But
domain.
then again, like you have these NBA players that are who are coming out, like.
Yeah, but you talking about Dwayne Wade. Like, I appreciate all
Mm-hmm.
the other ones that's coming out, but like when you talking about somebody who is an influential basketball player, like the
Mm-hmm.
ones that stand out, the stars that, motherfuckers when they get 2K, nigga, bitch, I'm Brian. Like, that happens, or they pick those individuals end up affirming this. And then on top of
Yes.
this, a black man affirming this. This is a black family.
Yes.
Okay. Because
Mm-hmm.
y'all keep talking about the black nuclear family. There's a black nuclear family that accepts their trans daughter. I
Yep.
just thought about that because there's been this conversation about, oh, the attack on the black nuclear family. They're trying to remove the father from the house. Well, you have both Dwayne Wade and Gabrielle Union raising, I think it's 4 children, and one of them happens to be trans. And what they're doing, as opposed to listening to all the outside people telling them what they should do as far as an image is concerned,
Mm-hmm.
as far as what the world is concerned about,
Yeah.
what they're actually doing is they're actually saying, you know what, I don't know much about this, but I'm
Yep.
willing to learn and I'm willing to go down this journey with Zaya, because it's still a journey even for her. She is still trying to
Hallelujah.
figure out who she is. And y'all really gonna sit here and take parenting advice and fucking stand for a nigga who has multiple baby mamas who don't want to get married and turn nobody into a black queen. Meanwhile, walking down every motherfucking aisle of Costco's talking about don't cut his dick off. Are you kidding me? So y'all rather
Yeah.
listen to Boost, and there are niggas out there who literally support Boost to be rooting for you. It's a bunch of old motherfucking people, and look, I'm not saying they're on my age, because God willing, I hope I get old. But I mean old as far as their thinking. There are some people who are set in their ways, and guess what? The world was moving before your ass. The world gonna move after your motherfucking ass. So my thing is, you can just learn to walk in love and be included in that.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, Dwayne Wade and Gabrielle Union, a black nuclear family, a black man who's famous and support and is a icon and a role model, and he's a upstanding black father. But it's so crazy, motherfuckers want to talk about fathers and stuff like that. But here it is, you have a black man accepting his trans daughter. A
Yeah.
lot of black fathers are struggling with doing that with their children. So maybe that's representation for them to say, you know what? Wow, there's another parent that understands me. Boom. Wow.
Yeah. But no, you're totally right. And even for me, coming from like from families who both are very, like, admire amongst our society, amongst a society back at home. You get what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Um, that's something that, like, many people, like, that you want. You get what I'm saying?
Hmm.
That's something that you really want, because something that I have always been told by my mom, or even by my grandmother as well.
Hmm.
I was in Guatemala, like, not too long ago, as you know.
Hmm.
Um, And something that she told me was, when she just asked me about my father, she was like, "Have you spoke to your father yet?" And I was like, "No, I haven't spoken to him in a few years, right?
Mhm.
Because he hasn't bothered us to call me or nothing, nothing."
Wow.
So she told me, "Oh, well, why don't you call him?" And I was just kind of like, "Well, I tried doing that multiple times, but he's not. He doesn't want to collaborate with me. So why would I
Continue to do so.
kill myself, or why would I bother myself to call somebody who's not interested
Mhm.
in me at all?" And she was like, "Oh my god, but don't be like that. That's your father. You're his son. You need to be there for him." And I'm like, "No, no, I don't have to, because where was him when I need him?" And I feel like that's another thing. Um, Parents, a lot of parents think that by giving your children um gifts, buying, giving them a roof, giving them food, they think that, okay, I'm done. This is my job as a parent, and I'm doing what I'm supposed to doing. They think that that's enough, and I'm like, no, because it is something that I even told my grandma. Anybody could give me food. Anybody could give me a roof. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But the love of a parent, nobody can give it to me except for my own parents. Now there are some parents who kids who are adopted and they have very loving homes. Yes, that's true. But it's not the same, because that's something that most of these kids, especially black men,
Yeah.
want.
Yeah.
They want somebody to understand them.
Yeah.
They want somebody to
Yes.
show them
Yes.
that they're there for them.
Hmm.
They want somebody to tell him, "Don't worry, everything is gonna be fine." They
Exactly.
want that.
Hey, Amber.
I didn't have an issue with that, because my mama, uh, well, from the 5 years that she was living with me before she moved, she
Mm.
was there. I'm not gonna complain about that. She was there for me. You know, she never beat my ass for nothing. She would talk to me for that's what a parent is, and that's what I think is the best way to parent somebody,
Hmm.
by talking to your child. And
Yes.
many parents don't do that. I live in New York City, and if you see the amount of baby mamas, or even or parents in general, they be walking 5 blocks away, and they have their kid all the way at the end of the block, or even across the street. So for me, it's kind of like, and then they want to be, "Oh, well, I did this for you. you
Yep.
own uh, um you
Hmm.
owe me your life, and yada yada, and stuff and
You owe
stuff."
me your life.
And I'm like, "No, because he didn't ask you to be here.
Yeah.
I didn't ask to be here." You get what I'm saying? And that's something that I always start to share with my parents. Yes, you're able to support me, right, as far as like financially, because you kind of said no for that, and as well as that, that's your duty. But there's more to an iPhone. There's more to a bed. You get what I'm saying?
Yes.
There's more that I need as a son, because a lot of parents, that they tend to believe that they tend to believe that, like, well, like, I birthed you, so I know who you are, when they would have no idea who you are at all. You get what I'm saying? So, and
Hmm.
I feel like that becomes toxic in a household,
Of course.
because and I feel like that's why you have kids who join who join the
I was just about
streets.
to say that. I was just
That,
about to
wa- that's
say
why
that.
that's why that kids, who tend to
Mhm.
become gang members, because they are trying to find the love that their
Yes.
parents were not able to give them.
Yes. Yeah.
That's
Mhm.
it. That's the answer right there.
Yeah.
You get
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
But then what happens is that love, because it's a bunch of hurt people coming together, that becomes a dysfunctional form of love, which is why a lot of times, because of that collective gang energy,
Mm-hmm.
that's why they were able to do as much wreck in the streets. And it's clearly a rebellion against. those, because it's like, why wouldn't you there? Like, and I didn't mean to cut you off, but when you said that gang stuff, I was like, oh yes, I like the way this is going. I just want to say this real quick. There is this documentary on YouTube called Last Chance High. And
No, I've never heard of it.
let me know what you do in the comments on Wednesday, Amber, too. Um, there was this like I said, documentary called Last Chance High. I would recommend that. What's up, BR Burns? Hello, thank you. I would recommend that y'all please watch that. It's on YouTube. I think it's through Vice news and network. I love Vice. Vice is amazing. They just so inclusive with everything. You learn so much.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's basically this alternative high school in Chicago. Now we know that Chicago is number one in reference to the murder rate in America. Now Detroit, where I'm from, is number two, so it ain't that good. We behind, so you know what I'm saying. But
Mm-hmm.
Chicago is called Chirac. So anyway, it's an alternative school, or basically like the last chance that a lot of these really broken, hurt, angry children go to school. So, you know, there is metal detectors. It looks like a fucking prison, kind of. But then you have kids who are mad. They want to fight. They want to
Mm-hmm.
hurt people.
Mm-hmm.
They want to stab. They want to shoot. They want to do all this type of stuff or whatever. And I remember it was this one boy. This one boy. I forgot his name. And his father was in prison for like 50 something years.
Oh wow.
And there was this local pastor who was kind of like mentoring him. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, him and his mom was going through hard things. She got 4 kids and she's trying to make it all work. And then he also has ADHD. They claimed him with that when really he probably didn't have ADHD. He probably just had some emotional things spiritually going on that could have helped him. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? So I remember the pastor said, you know what, I was able to get you a visit with your father that he hasn't seen since he went to jail as a little boy. So he finally went to go see his father in prison. They couldn't even look at each other. They were talking to each other, but couldn't even look at each other.
Mm-hmm.
And then the one of the interview people asked him, well, what do you want to happen in your life? He said, all I want is for my dad to get out of prison so we can be a family again. And once again, people are not taking the time out to listen to these people. Like when they make these songs and shit, they always make the popular shit as far as the trap shit and the trill shit as far as like the hype stuff. But if you listen to more of their work, a lot of them, the shit be depressing because they're dealing with PTSD. They didn't see their friends get shot in the head. They don't know how to go talk about that. Then they're dealing with anger and rage and stuff like that. And they're continuing this cycle because nobody wants to take time out to really care about the children. And then when they
Mm-hmm.
use the argument for, oh, the children, you can't even deal with the children that's fucking here.
Yep.
And guess what? Those children don't deserve love. Oh, but yet there's an LGBT couple that might want to adopt a child, but because they're 2 men or 2 women, oh my God, the influence on the child. Well, obviously, you didn't think there was no worth in this child for you to adopt him. So why are you talking shit now that I am? Please make that make sense to me. It's just like, wow, come on, y'all. So anyway, I would suggest y'all to watch Last Chance High. And like Aries said, it's about the love. We don't take the time out to talk to our children. We'll sit here and Auntie Nita them, cuss them out. Oh, she a little bastard. Fuck. Just completely denigrate them in such a way, but instead of actually learning to get to know your children because they have their own unique expression of God too. And it is your job as a parent to establish love. Ain't no perfect parent manual out there. We know this. But with
Mm-hmm.
love, you can't go wrong because love is inclusive. That means, guess what? Whatever you got going on, I'm standing by you and we gonna figure this shit out. But a lot of parents don't even love themselves. So how can they really give their children love, real love? Because I'm gonna tell you, for me, growing up, I grew up in a religious household as well, but my mother was always open minded, and my grandma was. I didn't know how spiritual she was. It was my father that I was afraid of having the conversations with, and that I didn't have a really good relationship with growing up because I was afraid of him because of what he thought about homosexuality,
Mm-hmm.
because he was very much against it. And here it is, his whole son is a homosexual himself. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like when I came out and everything, he had his own thing. And what we have to also understand too, as LGBT people, because we it's on both sides, we got to work. our parents are, like you said, dealing with the whole idea of, oh my God, what people are going to think about me. You have to also understand that these parents are going on their own journey as well. It's when both the child and the parent communicate with each other, tell each other where they're at, and for the parent, for the most part, to be able to say, you know what, I don't know much about it, educate me.
Yep.
Let this is an opportunity for me to learn how to love you even more, because the
Mm-hmm.
world wants me to turn away from you. The world wants me to kick you out because you're going to be a disgrace to the fucking family. But then something happened to them on the streets, then y'all gonna be on the casket crying, don't know what the fuck happened, because now you done fucked up and that guilt and shame hit your ass. So instead of dealing with, see, here's the I just thought about it. You either gonna deal with guilt and shame sooner or later. You either gonna
Yep.
deal with it sooner with your child and learning to work through that initial shock, and working through that, working through your ego and actually operating love, like the Jesus, like the one y'all worship and shit, said to do that. Either you're gonna deal with that shame and guilt now, so you can get it out the way, or deal with that. um I'm over here saying new words like Andrew Caldwell. I'm high because I ate some edibles. I'm sorry. Or you can deal with the guilt and shame afterwards when you're looking at your child in the casket. And now you got to deal with it for the rest of your days, saying,
Yep.
damn, if I would have just been there, if I would have just did something. And here's the thing, even when shit like that happens and it talks about the totality of God, that'll be a cautionary tale for other parents to say, you know what, let me stop playing about this. Come here, let me talk to I want to talk to my son. I want to talk to my daughter. And my family was like that. My father did not want to destroy a relationship between us, to the point to where now our relationship is stronger than ever, because now he actually sees what LGBT is with his heart, to where all of his views about it was going, because he even admitted it to me. And I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do a YouTube video with them. I'm gonna do a YouTube video because I want to put
Oh
that
my
out there
god,
for other
yes,
people
you
to see
should.
what it is, so that other parents can see this is what you're supposed to do. You gave birth to this child, and it's your job to love them. And my parents say, look, I love you. If your ass Jeffrey Dahmer killing people and shit, I'll come see you at the jail. I'll put money on your books. You still gotta do the crime because it's not right, but I still love you anyway. And that's when it's real. Like, I'll love you even though you're gonna be chastised, but I love you still. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So it's just a lot, y'all. So wow, it's almost been an hour and 30 minutes. How you feeling,
Mm-hmm.
Aries?
Honestly, I feel good. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie though. I was kind of like nervous in the beginning, so that's why I was all over the place. But I'm good.
No, well, that's the thing. Like, and that's how I used to feel before I really started doing lives, because it's live. You can like, I stutter, I make up new words sometimes, and because, like I said, my brain be working so fast that my mouth has to catch up. Just like how a lot of these niggas brains don't work as fast, and they got to catch up with this shit. Like, it's just the same thing with my mouth sometimes. So, but yeah, like, I want to do more conversations like this. That's why I'm kind of excited, because this is what I really want to do. Like, I know the read and the shade and stuff, I'm still gonna do that shit with the shows or whatever. But like, this is the shit that I want to talk about. It's
Mm-hmm.
this, like, real shit that helps people for real to heal. I'm not talking about no fake ass shit. I'm talking about shit that make you really challenge yourself and apply it to yourself. Aries is one of my students. He's come a very, very long way. Very, very long way, to the point to where, I mean, he was already helping other people, but it's like now he's employing that self love to himself, to where he's also learning to create boundaries and also learn how to love even more. You get what I'm saying? So it's, I'm telling y'all, self love is not for the faint of heart, but once you work through that shit with your heart, your life will change drastically. So, um, is there any like lasting thoughts you want to say before we go ahead and get on out of here?
Honestly,
That's gonna be your
man.
hashtag. It's gonna be your tagline. Honestly.
No, but you're actually right. You're actually right about this. I do believe that, like, I feel like parents should be, and this is also something that I wanna tell you as well. Like, and many people, like, I'm 21, so I had just came out of my teenage years.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a conversation that me, like, as as far as like with the whole like with the whole parenting, this is a conversation that me and my classmates, even friends, um we used to have a lot, when we were like 17, 18, about those ages, because at that time, like, everybody was thinking if they wanted to go to college or not, and some of the parents were okay with it. My mom personally, she wanted me, she wants us to go to college and stuff, right?
Mhm.
But my dreams were not really supported as they could have been, if that kind of makes sense. And I'm not talking about like the budgeting as far as money, but it was more so because art, artistically, I am more involved in art than my brother is.
Mhm.
So my brother, she really approved of my brother's schools, and I feel like that's another thing too, like, um when you're making your child second guess themselves, you're literally telling them that, like, yeah, you can't do that, you can't, and you're killing their motivations as
Mhm.
far as that. um so I just hope that, man, I hope that, like, at least for the new parents, who are around my age, my classmates, you know who you are, because you've been popping out babies as well, like, but if for you guys, I hope that instead of all of the instead of you treating your kids on the same way that your parents treat a child,
Mhm.
you should do you should think about it, and be like, you know what, I can do better.
Yes.
Because just because you have a kid, that doesn't mean that kid is going to fully trust you in the long run. You, as the same way that you build relationships, the same way that you make friendships, that's the same way on how you need to build a relationship with your kids.
Yes.
Get to know them better, so that at least you have a good idea of who they really are. Because there's a lot of these kids that they might do one thing, in front of you, and then boom, when they're outside, they could be fighting old people. They could. I live in New York City, so I seen a lot of teenagers beat up elder people, or even adults fighting teenagers. I see so many things happening,
Mhm.
and obviously this is a behavior that they wouldn't be doing in front of you. So make sure that you get to know your kids properly. Um, Overall, I feel like we had a good conversation today.
Yes. Yes, we did. Thank you for
Um,
joining me for the well, thank you for
right?
the I guess the inspiration for the conversation, because I didn't know what we was gonna talk about when you called me. I'm like, I didn't know. So, I was like, we might as well
Yeah,
just put this up so that other people can hear it too. So
yeah. Yeah. Thank you too for having me as well. I'm really happy about this, honestly,
yes, well, I'm gonna be
because
doing a lot more of these too. So you're more than welcome to come back.
yeah. So, like, no, because for me it's mostly like, I always like I told you before, like, I always wanted to have like as far as like representation of like other type of black people. You get what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Not just like, the African American, conversion, but also having my perspective as an Afro, Hispanic, or Afro-Latino
Right,
man. You get what I'm saying?
right.
Because that's something that makes me a special, and that's something that one of my only and black friend told me as well. He said, I like having serious conversation with you, Aris, because you think about things in a different way that most of us black people, even myself, don't think about. There's so many solutions that we have, but if
Mhm.
we don't start with plan A, we
Yes.
can do plan B.
Yeah. And that's the
And
thing. Oh, I'm sorry. I keep
no, no,
trying to
no,
cut
no,
you off. My bad. I just
no,
we
it's
be on the
okay.
phone. So we do on the phone. We cut each other off. Go ahead.
No, but I feel appreciated by that, because I have always been told my whole life living here, you're not black, you're not black, you're not
Mhm.
black, and well, even though that I look like you, I look like any other black person. I I still am. I might not understand the whole situation that goes along with in the country. I might not be a part of it for some people, but I'm still here to support. I'm still here to be open-minded and to listen, which is the thing, which is the key for every goddamn solution.
Yeah.
You have to listen in order for you to learn
Yes.
something.
Yes.
That's what I love about myself. I am very different from my family. I am very different from them. I dated people from so many nationalities. I learned so many things from people from different nationalities.
Mhm.
And I educated myself. And even right now, as we speak, I'm actually trying to. I'm reading this book, which I don't have it with me right now, but I am reading this book about um, U.S. history and actually on how the law works, so that I could have maybe conversations about this later on in the future. Because trust me, even as a Hispanic man, most of them they don't even like talking about black issues if because it doesn't involve them.
Yeah.
You know. So I'm glad that like you gave me this space for open myself up. And I hope that like other people like can learn something at least from this. And be more open to not just their own, but like I feel like if we have more conversation with the entire communities, whether it is Hispanic, Black, with every single person that is considered a minority in the United States, we're gonna go super far in the future.
Yes.
So yeah, thank you for having me.
No problem. No problem. Like I said, that's the purpose, because it's all about being inclusive. That's what love is. Love means like, look, yes, there are lines of division, but we gonna work on the energy because the energy gonna be able to transcend that. You know what I'm saying? Because
Mm-hmm.
you are part of the black experience because you have black in you. And in a deeper level, like we're all connected based on the energy, and that's why empathy is very important because that's how we realize that we're all the same. We create these lines of division to be different, then be scared of other people, but then feel some type of way when people don't understand us. It's like, okay, bitch, you're gonna have to pick a struggle. What do you want? So for me, the struggle that I choose to pick is the struggle of removing the line so that we can all be one. That's the point. At the end of the day, we're all human beings, right? I bet if
Yep.
I bet if some motherfucking aliens came down on some Independence Day shit, all this black, white, gay shit would be gone. If a bitch know how to shoot a gun, girl, bitch, call me girl and give me the gun.
Yep.
But it's like it's so sad that it has to take horrible things to happen to people in order for people to realize that they're just that people. And I
Mm-hmm.
think, and it's sad, but that's going to be the thing that's going to happen. Unfortunately, if we keep going down this road, we're going to continue to manifest shit that's going to keep popping our bubbles to where we're going to lose our mind. But it is. But thank you again, Aries. I appreciate it. Like I said, you're always welcomed here on BubzDaGawd. If you got an issue with something that you want to talk about, it's something we can always come back and talk about some things as well. And I'm all about sharing the love. That's what we're supposed to do. Share the love. So thank you again, Aries. I really appreciate it. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna say, I guess like a few lasting words, and then I'm gonna go ahead and go because I want to watch the rest of that Bonky anime with them muscly booty ass niggas. I want to watch that and smoke this hookah.
Yeah, and I'm gonna see if I could watch Dear White People, which is a good show. Obviously,
Aries trying to
I
get
love
choked
it.
on this live before he leave because he's being shady.
Yeah. Oh my god.
He being shady.
Listen,
Why'd you bring that show up?
cause I like it.
What about the show you like? Let the people know about some of the shit in the show you like that's about to get you choked. Go ahead, let them know.
So there's like this amazing muscle daddy in the show that I'm like, hey.
He like the same nigga I like, Deron Horton. I don't even like masculine niggas like that, but it's something about him I like. And
No, but I feel like that show, not to say other black shows, but I feel like that show really is represents different type of black issues, with different characters. So
yes,
it is very reliable, at least for me. Coco
yes,
is the one that I could relate the most. For her being dark skinned and not and feeling like she needed to be accepted in white spaces. And
yes.
yeah, she's my favorite. Also Lionel too, cause
Okay, okay. It's time for you to go.
yeah.
It's time for you to go for you get cussed out. I'm just playing. But thank you again, Aries, and I'll be talking
Mm-hmm.
to you. Bye.
Bye.
All right, y'all. That was Aries, one of my spiritual students. Like I said, I'm gonna say I'm a spiritual student who's helping out other students. I'll just say that. I don't even know if I want to say teacher anymore because the teacher is gonna always be the student too. I don't want to get caught up on the label. At least I don't want to get caught up on the label. Um, but yes, it's a lot we gotta do, y'all. It's a lot of hurt. It's a lot of pain. It's a lot of shit we dealing with. A lot of shit that we're dealing with. Like I said, black people collectively, we're still dealing with our trauma, but that doesn't mean that it always has to be that way. Like our ancestors did all that they could to get us to freedom, and it is our job to continue that manifestation. And here's the thing: we are so close. And even though we had a conversation that kind of had sort of a criticism in reference to LGBT and blackness, not in a way to denigrate. I'm not trying to criticize falsely, okay, but to have an honest criticism on both spectrums because I'm black, I'm a black man, and I'm gay. So even though I'm not a heterosexual man, we're talking about the energy here, So, um, black people, I want y'all to understand that we are strong. We are strong as hell. We've been through 400, 500 plus years of oppression and still here. Ask yourself, can Becky stand the rain? She can't even stand the sun. Can she stand the rain? Is the question. We can do both. So continue to do that. And then on top of that, like, everybody got to be off the bench. Ain't nobody on the bench now. It's crunch time, y'all. Like everybody can do something. Me ma ass can do something. Big mama ass sit in the back and do something. Shit, the dog can do something. Everybody has a purpose and a place in the umbrella of blackness. There's so many different intersectionalities of blackness. And that's why I like having these conversations because even though I don't get many views on these videos now, which is okay, I know for a fact that these videos are going to be planting seeds for people who watch the replay. That's the point. And I'm not doing it in a way to be egoic or to be like, oh, I'm BubzDaGawd. Can't nobody. No, like I want people to win and I want us to win because I'm winning for myself. And if I see it for myself, I can see it for other people as well. That's what that love is. Love is inclusive. Love finds a way to find something in you that is similar. It doesn't care about the differences because the differences are just your own unique expression of God, but still finding the God in the unique expression of God. Every single one of us have a right to be here. We all have our own individual, unique fingerprint. Like, come on, y'all. And I think I found out some new information. And I said in my last video that I did that we thought that only one particular sperm reached the egg, but the egg gets to decide which fucking sperm it's gonna choose. Like, bitch, it's the Hunger Games, the womb edition, bitch. What the fuck? Okay. May the stroke forever be in your favor. May they be in your favor, nigga. What the fuck? You passed your serve exam yesterday, Mark. Look at Amber just manifesting another black queen over here. Okay, she doing all type of stuff, trying to get her own the words are escaping me right now and it's pissing me off. I'm thinking about the that damn anime because when I watched that anime last night, I said, "Damn, we 15 minutes in and I see some motherfucking some cakes." I said, "Damn." I was like, the way they be hitting these niggas hard, I just want one of the motherfuckers to just slam their ass in my face, just hard, hard, hard. Yeah, not food business. I know it's food business, but it's another term that they call it catering. There we go. Thank you. Her own catering business she's trying to do. She's getting her YouTube back together where she's gonna be doing cooking shows and all that type of stuff, doing commentary. So y'all make sure y'all go over and subscribe to my girl Amber. Shout out to her. And she's been with me since day one. Like she's a ride or die. I appreciate her. She be ready to shoot a bitch over me and then cook their ass and serve it at the family repast, bitch, for the motherfuckers. I just wanted to just give back to the family, bitch, in more ways than one. It was an open casket. Why is this casket closed, bitch, girl? Bitch, you taste this motherfucking spaghetti, bitch. Bitch, this bitch put her foot in it. No, actually, it's the motherfucker. Your cousin's foot in it, bitch. I'm just saying. For talking about BubzDaGawd, I'm just playing. Yeah, I'm high. You know I'm all over the place. But yeah, black people, we got it. We got it. We got to have conversations like this, y'all. Come on. Come on. You have to be the change that you want to see in the world. You can't you you can't put it on nobody else now. It's on you. The ball is in all of our goddamn courts. Get a TikTok, there are a lot of cakes over there. I ain't gotta get on TikTok. I already see enough cakes on Instagram because Aris, that nigga every day, he's the booty detective. I'm like, bitch, are y'all hoes taking applications over there? Please, how you be finding this? Just wake me up with new blessings every morning. Praise the Lord. But yeah, we're gonna be all right, y'all. We're gonna talk about this. We're gonna get through this. We're gonna laugh our way. We're gonna cry our way. We're gonna yell our way. Bitch, we're gonna go through all the human emotions, girl. And when you deal with all the human emotions, bitch, that's when you can start tapping into the spiritual that transcends all this stuff. So that as you go forward, yea, though you walk through the valley, bitch, a hoe ain't gotta worry about shit because the bitch got a motherfucking peace on them. And if you roll up, you see this nigga facing this goddamn avatar, bitch. Like, okay, bitch, you try if you want to, bitch. You gonna be looking. Anyway, I love y'all. Make sure y'all comment. Make sure y'all like, please, because YouTube don't be giving nobody notification. Like BR Burns said, nobody can't. He didn't get a notification. So, of course, I'm talking about some real shit. They trying to censor stuff. They don't want people to be awakened. They don't want people to ask questions. They want people to just follow their damn rules and be stupid. Bitch, Harriet Tubman said, bitch, girl, fuck you hoes. I'm leaving. So that's the type of shit I'm on. I'm just saying. What tip is y'all on? But anyway, share the video, please. Let's get this conversation out here. Talk to your family members and friends. Be the change. You got power and privilege too, in some way, shape, form, or fashion. Use it for the betterment of everybody. Okay? And until next time, everybody, peace and motherfucking love. BubzDaGawd out.